الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم ومن الناس من يقول آمنا بالله وباليوم الآخر وما هم بمؤمنين يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون وإذا قيل لهم آمنوا كما آمن الناس قالوا أنؤمن كما آمن السفهاء ألا إنهم هم السفهاء ولكن لا يعلمون صدق الله العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Last week we mentioned that Surah Al-Baqrah started off the first 20 ayat mentioning three different groups of people. And last week we covered the first 5 ayat, which was speaking about the first group, which was the muttaqeen, where Allah Ta'ala, He said, هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, that the Quran, it is a guidance for the righteous and the pious people. And thereafter, the first 5 verses explain the qualities and all about the first group. And now from ayah number 6 of Surah Al-Baqrah, which we will start today, Allah Ta'ala, He speaks about those people who rejected the truth and those people who refuted Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Quran. So in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there were 2 types of people who rejected the truth, 2 groups. Number 1 were those who openly rejected the truth, in denial and hostility, very openly and clearly they were mentioning to the people, I do not accept, this is falsehood, this is evil. Very openly. These were known as the kuffar, the disbelievers, open disbelievers. The second group of people who denied the message were known as the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. That openly they claimed that they followed Islam, that they were from amongst the Muslims, but deep inside their hearts they were kuffar and they were disbelievers and they had animosity against Islam. So these were the 2 groups from those people who rejected the Islam. So the first 2 ayat, ayah number 6 and ayah number 7, speaks about the second group, which is the kuffar. And the next 13 ayat speak about the munafiqeen, which were the third group from the 3 groups which we mentioned that Surah Al-Baqarah starts off with. So Allah Ta'ala starts off ayah number 6 of Surah Al-Baqarah and He mentions, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Speaking about the kuffar now. That indeed the kuffar, those who disbelieve, it is no difference whether you warn them or whether you do not warn them. لا يؤمنون, they will not believe. ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم. Allah Ta'ala placed a seal on their hearts and on their ears. وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة. And Allah Ta'ala placed a covering on their eyes, and for them is a painful punishment. So these are the 2 ayat which have to deal with the second group, the kuffar. So now Allah Ta'ala, He is saying that, Ya Rasulullah, those who disbelieve, there is no difference whether you warn them or you do not warn them, they will not believe. So the word la yu'minun, that they do not believe, this is not talking about all the kuffar, because we know there are some non-Muslims that they became Muslim afterwards. So the la yu'minun is referring to those kuffar who refuted and denied Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and whom Allah Ta'ala knew that they will die as kafir. So Allah Ta'ala, He knew that these people, they will die as kuffar. So Allah Ta'ala is giving tasalli. He is consoling Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that do not worry about these people. They are rejecting you, they are refuting you, they will never believe. So do not worry, do not grieve, do not be remorseful, do not be regretful, do not lose sleep at night because of them, because Rasulullah, he gave da'wah to them. and they were not accepting and they were rejecting. So Rasulullah, he felt some way that, they're not accepting my call. Perhaps I am not doing a good job. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, Ya Rasulullah, do not worry. These people, whether you give them the warning, whether you do not, they will not believe. Why? Because they have that animosity in them and that hatred. Do not worry about them. You do your job, you do your da'wah, you will be rewarded. Forget about the rest. So now the question comes, the word inzar, right? Allah Ta'ala, He says, أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ, whether you warn them or you do not warn them. And we know Allah Ta'ala, He says in the Quran about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِيُّ إِنَّا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ شَاهِدًا وَمُبَشِّرًا وَنَذِيرًا. Nadhir, the word we're speaking about here is inzar, nadhir, the one who warns. Now there is something called inzar and there is something called ibshar. Ibshar is when you give good news to someone and they rejoice at it. Inzar is when you give a warning to someone about something that will happen to them. If you alert them, you give them that warning, and you make them concerned about a certain action that's going to happen to them. So now, warning can be of two types. One warning is that which you cause fear to the person. Like sometimes, we say, be careful, I'm warning you. If you come near me, things are not going to be good. So this type of warning is a warning of fearing them. You're trying to make them scared. You are not hoping for their betterment. You tell them, I am warning you. You come near me, something bad is going to happen to you. But the inzar of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is he is warning them out of love and compassion that something is going to happen to you in the day of Qiyamah. You will be punished. So Rasulullah is not warning them, bringing fear into their life, but rather he is warning them out of care. Like how a father warns his child, oh son, I am warning you, do not go near the snake, do not go near the fire. This is warning out of love and compassion for the child. So similarly, Rasulullah is a nadhir, he is a warner. Not that warner which causes fear, but that warner which warns you because he cares for you that something will happen to you if you do not accept the truth. So this is the type of inzar and this is the type of nadhir and warner that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. And now this word nadhir is only for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he is the only one who warns the people out of compassion and love for them to save them in this dunya and the hereafter as well. So in this first ayah number 6, Allah Ta'ala is telling Rasulullah, giving him tasalli, consoling him that whether you warn them or not, they will not believe. The next ayah explains the reasoning why they will not believe. The reason is ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم. Allah Ta'ala placed a seal in their hearts and in their ears. They are seeing the truth, but they will not accept the truth. They are hearing the truth, but they will not accept the truth. وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة. And Allah Ta'ala placed a covering on their eyes. So they may be seeing the truth, but the truth will not enter their hearts. They may be hearing khair and goodness and all this warning and the truth, but they will not accept and they will not understand the truth. And now one subtle difference which we can see over here, which shows the beauty of the Quran and the shows that the Quran is only from the words of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala, He says, ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم. That Allah Ta'ala, He placed a seal on their hearts and on their ears. But Allah Ta'ala placed a ghishawa, a covering on their eyes. So what's the difference between a seal and what's the difference between a covering? Why did Allah Ta'ala say He sealed their hearts and their ears, but He put a covering on their eyes? What's the difference? Why didn't Allah Ta'ala mention that there is a seal on their hearts and on their ears and on their eyes? Why did He differentiate the eyes from the ears and the hearts? That for their hearts is a seal, but for their eyes is a covering. What's the difference between a seal? What's the difference between a covering? And why does the heart and the ears have a seal? And why does the eyes have a covering? What's the difference? So the difference is that ideas can come to the heart from all directions. You can get ideas that come into the heart from many different directions. And sound and noise can come to the ear from many different directions. So in order to fully stop the ideas and the haqq coming into their heart, and to fully stop, to completely bar the truth from entering into their ears, there must be a seal placed. But as for the eyes can only look at one direction. Wherever you are looking, you cannot look right, you cannot look left, you cannot look behind you. Whatever you look at, this is the only thing you can see, only one direction. But ideas and sound and noise, they come from many different directions. Many ideas can come to the hearts, many different sound and noises from all directions can come to the ears. So in order to stop that, there must be a seal. But for the eyes, you can only look at one direction. So if you were to place a seal on the eyes, then this will seize the effect of the eyes. This is why only a covering is needed and not a seal. So this is the subtle difference and to show the eloquency of the words of Allah Ta'ala, how this Quran is truly the words of Allah Ta'ala and not from the words of the insan. One more objection that can be made before we move on is that Allah Ta'ala is telling Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whether you warn them, whether you do not warn them, they will not believe. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala placed a seal in their hearts and their eyes and their ears, and Allah Ta'ala placed a covering on their eyes. So the question may come about that, how is it their fault? Why is it their fault that they're disbelieving? Allah Ta'ala is the one who did it, so why are they being punished? This is an objection with many people they may raise. So the answer to this ishkal, this so-called objection, is Allah Ta'ala, He says in another place in the Quran, كَلَّا بَلْ رَانَ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ, that it is because of their actions that their hearts became rusted. In other words, these kuffar, they willfully destroy their capacity for accepting the truth. They willfully destroy the capacity for them accepting the haqq. They were their own authors for their own ruin. That because of their own actions, because of their own pride, because of their own arrogance, this is what caused Allah Ta'ala to put a seal on their hearts. So it wasn't that Allah Ta'ala for no reason put the seals, it was because of their actions and the way they responded to Rasulullah, and because of their pride and their arrogance, that their hearts became rusted and that Allah Ta'ala placed a seal in their hearts. So it was because of their own doings that the seal came to their hearts, and Allah Ta'ala attributed it to Himself, because Allah Ta'ala, He is the Khaliq and He is the doer of everything. So the hearts, the seals and the coverings was placed on their hearts and their eyes and their ears because of their own doings. And Allah Ta'ala just attributed to Himself because He is the Khaliq and He is the doer of everything. So this is the answer. That it was not Allah Ta'ala for no reason caused their hearts to be, sealed, and their eyes and their ears, but it was because of their own doing. That Allah Ta'ala did this to them. So this is the answer. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. And for the kuffar, well, there will be a painful punishment on the day of Qiyamah because of their kufr, because of their crimes, and because of them denying and rejecting the ayat and the signs of Allah Ta'ala. So this was the second group. Only 2 ayat was revealed about them. Ayah number 6 and ayah number 7 talks about the kuffar and some tasalli that Allah Ta'ala gave Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Now the next group, 13 ayat, we will just cover a few of the ayat. Now from ayah number 8 all the way to ayah number 20, 13 ayat have been revealed about the munafiqeen, the third group. And Imam Baydawi rahimahullah, one great scholar of the past, he said that the munafiqeen, they are akhbathul kufr. They are the worst of the groups of those who reject. From the kuffar and the munafiqeen are far worse than those who openly show their kufr, openly show their denial. The munafiqeen are much worse than them and are much hated in the sight of Allah Ta'ala. And these are the people, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ. They say they are believers with their mouth, وَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ قُلُوبُهُمْ, but their hearts do not believe and their hearts do not accept. And these people, they are worse than the kuffar. And this is why Allah Ta'ala, He says in the Quran, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ, that the munafiqeen, they will be in the lowest level and in the lowest pits of Jahannam, even lower than the kuffar. Why? Because they try to deceive, they try to trick, they try to mock. And the kuffar, they openly said we are not believers. But the munafiqeen, you will see in the ayat what they used to do, their heinous crimes and their heinous actions which they used to do, caused them to be in the pits of Jahannam. So Allah Ta'ala starts off ayah number 8, starting about the group of the munafiqeen, and says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. And from amongst the people, They are those who say آمنا بالله وباليوم الآخر, that we believe in Allah Ta'ala, we believe in the day of Qiyamah, وما هم بمؤمنين, but they are not true believers. And this ayah was revealed about some munafiqeen. It was narrated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He said that this ayah was revealed about some munafiqeen, including Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, including Mu'tad ibn Uqashayr, including Jadd ibn Qais. These were munafiqeen that when they met the believers, they used to say, we believe, we are Muslim, we accept. And then they would go back to their shayateen and their kufr, and they go back to their leaders, and they say, no, we are actually disbelievers, we are just mocking them. So these first two ayat describe the qualities of the munafiqeen. What did they used to do? The munafiqeen, they used to say, we believe in Allah Ta'ala. They used to come and they used to tell the believers, we are Muslims, we believe in Rasulullah, we believe in the day of Qiyamah, his qualities were mentioned in our books, we believe in him. But وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, but they are not true believers. يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهِ, Allah Ta'ala says in the next ayah, يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهِ, they try to deceive and trick Allah Ta'ala. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, and they try to deceive and trick the believers. وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ, but they are not deceiving and they are not tricking anyone except their own selves, while they do not even realize. So over here, it says يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهِ, they try to deceive Allah Ta'ala. But we know these people, they believed in Allah, and they know it is impossible to deceive Allah Ta'ala. So why is Allah Ta'ala saying يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهِ, that they try to deceive Allah? Why didn't Allah Ta'ala only say يُخَادِعُونَ الرَّسُولِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, that they try to deceive Rasulullah and they try to deceive the believers? Because they know themselves it is impossible to deceive Allah Ta'ala as well. The reason for this is because if you try to deceive and trick the believers, if you try to trick and deceive Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in reality, in actuality, you are trying to deceive Allah Ta'ala as well. So this is why Allah Ta'ala, He says, يُخَادِعُونَ Allah. By them trying to deceive the believers and Rasulullah, it is like them trying to deceive Allah Ta'ala. This is why Allah Ta'ala, He says, يُخَادِعُونَ Allah, that they try to deceive Allah Ta'ala and those who believe. وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ, but they are not deceiving and they are not tricking anyone except for their own selves. وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ, and they do not even realize that the punishment will return back to them and they will be punished for this. فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ, that in the hearts of the munafiqeen is a disease and malice and hatred. And the disease in there is talking about a spiritual disease, not a disease of the body. فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا, Allah Ta'ala increased them in their disease. Allah Ta'ala increased their kufr and their rebellion and their tughyan. And another interpretation you can give by Allah Ta'ala increasing their disease is that Allah Ta'ala, He strengthened the believers and He grew Islam and He gave power to the Muslims. Thus, this caused more hatred and malice in their hearts, and this hurted them a lot. That when the Muslims, they became stronger, when a lot of people entered into Islam, this hurt, this caused a lot of pain to the hearts of the kuffar and the munafiqeen. And this is why Allah Ta'ala, He says, فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا, Allah Ta'ala increased them in their malice and increased them in their disease. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ, and for them is a painful punishment because they used to reject the truth. Now the last two ayat we will do, which describes some of the qualities and some of the actions that the munafiqeen they used to do. Allah Ta'ala, He says in ayah number 11 of Surah Al-Baqrah, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, when it was said to the munafiqeen, when the Sahaba and the Muslims told the munafiqeen, do not spread fasad, do not spread mischief and disorder in the earth. قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون, they said, no, we are islah makers, we are peacemakers, we are not troublemakers. So now the question comes, it was said to them, do not spread mischief on the earth, do not spread disorder on the earth. What does it mean to spread mischief and spread fasad on the earth? We know they weren't going destroying buildings or stealing and doing all these. So what does it mean to cause mischief in earth? What does it mean to be a troublemaker on the face of this earth? What does it mean? Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, he said that al-fasadu fil ard al-kufru wal-amalu bil-ma'siyah, that spreading mischief and corruption and being a troublemaker in earth is kufr, is disbelieving in Allah Ta'ala and doing evil deeds. فَمَنْ عَصَى اللَّهَ فَقَدْ أَفْسَدَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. The one who disobeys Allah Ta'ala, the one who rejects Allah Ta'ala, the one who is a kafir, indeed he has transgressed and he has caused trouble in the earth, and he is a mischief maker. It doesn't mean you are running around destroying buildings, destroying land and stealing. When you disobey Allah Ta'ala, when you have the kufr, when you are not a Muslim, this is the meaning of ifsad fil ard. This is the meaning of corruption and spreading trouble on the face of this earth. So when it was said to them, do not disobey Allah, accept the truth, they said, no, we are not troublemakers, we are islah makers, we are peacemakers. Allah Ta'ala refutes them in the utmost way, and He says, أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْمُفْسِدُونَ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. That Allah, behold, He is taking tanbih, He is warning the people, He is taking the attention of the people. Allah, indeed, innahum, indeed, the word Allah and inna is a word of ta'keed. Behold, indeed, humul mufsidun. He repeated the word hum twice. Allah innahum humul mufsidun. Allah Ta'ala is saying, behold, indeed, them, yes, them, they are the true troublemakers, but they do not realize. You know how sometimes when we speak to someone and we are addressing them, we say you, yes you, because we are giving so much ta'keed and emphasis. Similarly, Allah Ta'ala, He is doing the same. Allah, indeed, behold, be alert, innahum humul mufsidun. Indeed, yes, only them, they are the true troublemakers on the face of this earth, but they do not realize. Last ayah we will do, Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسِ قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ. When it was said to these munafiqeen, آمِنُوا, believe, كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ, like كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسِ, like how the people they believed. And over here, An-Nas is referring to the Sahaba. So because they were the only ones who accepted the Islam at that time. The only believers were the Sahaba, including Bilal radiallahu anhu, including Suhaib radiallahu anhu. These were the believers at the time, who were the Sahaba. So when it was said to them, believe like how the people, how the Sahaba believed, قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ. Should we believe like how the foolish people are believing? This was the answer of the munafiqeen. So a couple things we take out from this. Number one, that true Iman and true Islam is following the Islam of the Sahaba. If you want to be a true believer, of course you follow what the Quran and what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying. But the true followers of the Quran and the Sunnah were indeed the Sahaba. So our Islam, our Iman should be just like how the Sahaba used to live their life. That's number one we can take out. Number two, when it was said to them, believe like the Sahaba, they said, should we believe like the foolish people? Two things we can take out from this as well. Number one, many a times those people who are on haqq, those people who are on the truth, they are called foolish people. Many a times we see this. Those who are truly on Islam, those who are actually practicing the true and the proper Islam, the people who have less Iman, the people who are munafiq, the people whom the Iman and their hearts are blackened with sins, they are the ones who call these true believers foolish people, extremists. Why are you doing this? Why are you wearing hijab? Why are you doing this? They're calling them foolish people. Whom? The people who are on the true haqq, those who have weak Iman, they call them sufaha, like how the munafiqeen used to call the Sahaba sufaha. Another thing is, at that time Imam Baydawi rahimahullah said that those who believed in Rasulullah were those who were a little bit poor, who were freed slaves. So they said, look, it is only the poor people who are believing you. It is only those who used to be slaves. The rich and the prominent people amongst us are not believing you. So they used to call them the sufaha. Again, Allah Ta'ala is rejecting them and refuting them in the utmost way, and He says, Ala innahum humus sufaha. Indeed, behold, it is them. Yes, they alone are the foolish people. They are the sufaha. وَلَكِنْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. But rather, they do not know and they are unaware.
So it is not the believers and the Sahaba who are the foolish people, rather it is the munafiqeen who are the true foolish people. It is the munafiqeen who are the true mischief makers on the face of this earth. So may Allah Ta'ala give us all the understanding of what has been said. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahu wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.